drama, and today's video is about young love. Oh, teenage romance that I know nothing about. I've said in a previous video that I have never had a boyfriend, and it's true, I haven't. But I have had many crushes for sure. And I know all about how to not like someone. For lack of better words, I've become a boss at ending my crushes. Let's get on into this. First off, we need to determine whether or not this actually is a crush. So question number one for you to ask yourself, do you actually know this person? Like, do you know enough about them to actually genuinely have a crush on them? Or have you just like seen them once or twice and you're like, oh hey, they're cute? No. That would be what I call a stargaze. If you don't know what a stargaze is, let me break it down for you. A stargaze is whenever you watch someone from afar. Get it? Because like you watch the stars and admire their beauty, but you don't talk to stars. You don't go on dates with stars. The stars don't know you. I call that a stargaze whenever you don't actually know them and you just kind of watch them and you like them. They're pretty. But a crush is when you have just fallen for this person and you just want them to like you back. That's a crush. Let's say there's this guy, and this guy's name is Jim Bob, and you really like Jim Bob. You think about Jim Bob. Why Jim Bob? You think about this Jim Bob all the time. Maybe you have a couple classes together at school and you catch yourself looking at him. You catch yourself looking at him during class and you really like Jim Bob. You have a crush on this Jim Bob kid. But Jim Bob doesn't like you. Maybe Jim Bob likes someone else. No matter what the situation is, you know that you and Jim Bob are just not gonna work out and you are tired of just thinking about him all the time and having this huge crush on Jim Bob. You just want to stop liking him, but you don't know how. Well, is this the video for you? I don't know why I chose Jim Bob, just that's who we're talking about today, Jim Bob. I have never met someone in my life named Jim Bob. Are people actually named Jim Bob? Step one is to point out their flaws. This whole process is about convincing yourself that you don't actually like them. So, obviously, no one actually has flaws. Everyone is amazing and beautiful, but there are things that we find unattractive on people. And when you have a crush on them, you are blind to all of those things. You just find that person completely perfect, and that's not gonna work. We gotta stop that. So let's say you're having a conversation with Jim Bob, and you look at his eyes, and you're like, you know, his eyes aren't even that pretty. I don't even like his eyes. Maybe Jim Bob's talking to you, and he's got this really annoying way he talks. It just gets on your nerves, and you're like, Jim Bob, that's annoying. I don't like you. Or maybe you look at his clothes and you're like, man, Jim Bob has no fashion sense, no style whatsoever, just, oh. Things like that, just things that you may not actually like about this person. Convince yourself that you don't like them. That is the key, is convincing yourself. So maybe throughout that day, he comes into your mind all the time, you're like, oh, Jim Bob, wait, I don't even like Jim Bob. He has like the weirdest way that he talks and his clothes are ugly. I mean, those kind of things may seem shallow, but this is how it works. So step number two is kind of not a step. Basically, this thing I just came up with a while ago and it actually really helped me. So I noticed how much I've been thinking about this person throughout the day. And I was like, man, I think about this person way too much. I think about Jim Bob way too much. Every time that Jim Bob comes into your mind, mark it with a Sharpie on your hand. Just put a dot or a tally mark or something. Throughout the day, you will notice quite a few dots appearing on your hand. Marking the dots, that's a bad thing. You don't want your whole hand covered in dots. You need to be counting them throughout the day and notice just how many dots are appearing on your hand. Your goal each day needs to be to have less dots than the day before. Less dots, less thoughts. Whoa, baby! So whenever you think of Jim Bob, you know what? Jim Bob is no longer, I'm just gonna refer to this person that you're thinking of and you're trying to stop liking as Jim Bob. So your crush, he's Jim Bob. Or she. If you're a guy watching this, she's Jim Bob. Whenever you think of Jim Bob, you just need to like remind yourself that that's not a good thing. You don't need to be thinking about Jim Bob. Like when this person pops into your mind, you need to push it out. Just remind yourself about bad things about them. Don't think about them. You don't want to think about them. That's just the last thing you want to do. So you just want to push that out of your mind. Like remind yourself of something funny that happened the other day or something random. Just get it out of your head. The third thing you can do, this one is optional, is unfollow them on social medias. Because when you constantly see them posting stuff, you're like, oh man, that selfie Jim Bob posted was so cute. That's not the goal here. No, we don't want that. But I understand if you're still friends with them and you don't want to like hurt their feelings or anything. So that one is optional. Another thing that works for me is trying to avoid that person. Because trust me, when you like someone, you subconsciously want to be around them all the time, and you will try to be around them all the time without even noticing. Like, I remember one time I had this crush on a guy, and our lockers were like kind of near each other, not really, but I knew where his locker was. And I tried to go to his locker, like when I knew he would be there. Oh, that's so weird. But you know what I mean? Like, you just want to be around them. And so maybe you know what class Jim Bob has, and you walk past his class on the way to yours, so you just want to strut your stuff past Jim Bob's class. No, don't do that. Don't do that. You want to get those thoughts out your mind. They need to be gone. So as much as you can, try and avoid them like at school. Don't ignore people, because that's just rude. Like if they try to talk to you and you're like, I'm trying not to like you, go away from it. But if they have classes with you or something like that, like if the teacher says partner up, don't go automatically to them. That's a bad idea. If you don't have a seating chart in the class, don't sit by them. Sit where they are out of your sight. You don't want to think about them. And seeing them makes you think of them, so don't do that. You want to stop thinking about them. Another thing which could be bad, so it really just, you know yourself, you decide on whether or not you do this one. Don't bring them up around your friends, or ask your friends not to bring them up. I mean, you want to have people who walk through things with you, but don't have your friends bring them up. Like, that'll just cause you to think about them even more. So like if you've mentioned it to your friend, maybe tell them that you don't like them anymore and that you don't want to talk about them, stuff like that. Another thing you could do is maybe replace that crush with another one, which doesn't always work, and I understand if you're like me and you don't want to have a crush ever, so that's not what you want to do. You don't want to replace them with someone else, because then you'll just have another one that you want out of your mind. Like, no, that doesn't work for me. But it could work for you. If you like having a crush on someone and this one's just not working, then just maybe find somebody new. My final advice is something that's kind of a big deal. Now this is if you just really cannot get over this person and you really need to get over them and you just can't, and you don't know what to do and you just can't control your emotions, and that is to move to Peru. Change your name, get plastic surgery, dye your hair green, only buy hot pink and yellow clothing, and move to Peru. Okay, that's it for this video. I hope it helped you out a little bit. I've never done like an advice type video before. It's kind of cool. So yep, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And if you know someone who's struggling with something like this, like maybe they want to get over their crush, they talk to you about it, maybe it's one of your friends and you're tired of them complaining, send them this video. Tell them to watch it and maybe it'll help them out. Oh my goodness, I mentioned this at the end of my last video. You may not have heard it, but I hit 100 subscribers, and I just want to thank you guys so much, because that makes me so happy. Only 6 months ago I started this channel and I did not expect it to grow so quickly. I'm really excited and happy. Thank you guys so much. And if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. I mean, what have you got to lose? Unless you just like really hate me or something, and I don't know why you would. But if you do, don't subscribe. I don't want you to comment, oh my gosh, why am I even subscribed to you? I hate you so much. Nobody cares. Just don't subscribe if you don't like me. But if you do it! Just subscribe. It's so much fun. Because when you hit that subscribe button, we become besties. For the resties. That's it for this video. I love you all. Bye!